try it. Our platforms at your fingertips, you'll learn every part. From BI to automate, it's time to make a start. Transform your data, turn it into gold. Our platform magic, let the story unfold. Practical strategies, knowledge at its best. Ace the PL-900, stand out from the rest. Power apps and Copilot studios in the mix. Innovate and automate, we've got all the tricks. Foundation strong and strategies right. With Jonathon's guidance, you'll shine bright from the rest. Power apps and Copilot studios in the mix. Innovate and automate, we've got all the tricks. Foundation strong and strategies right. With Jonathon's guidance, you'll shine bright. Transform your data, turn it into gold. Our platform magic, let the story unfold. Practical strategies, knowledge at its best. Ace the PL-900, stand out from the rest. Whether fresh on the scene or brushing up your skills, this webinar's the key to all your Power Platform thrills. So join us now, let's conquer that exam. With Jonathon Silva, become a Power Platform champ. Transform your data, turn it into gold. Power Platform magic, let the story unfold. Practical strategies, knowledge at its best. Ace the PL-900, stand out from the rest. Best. Whether fresh on the scene or brushing up your skills, this webinar's the key to all your Power Platform thrills. So join us now, let's conquer that exam. With Jonathon Silva, become a Power Platform champ. Transform your data, turn it into gold. Power Platform magic, let the story unfold. Practical strategies, knowledge at its best. Ace the PL-900, stand out from the rest. Stand out from the rest.
All right. Another great session, another great giveaway, but also another question for the session, because I know everybody wants to win an awesome Percy t-shirt. Question we're going to have for here is, what is the most nerdiest, geekiest item you own or would wish to own? Let us know in the chat. What is that item? Jonathon, I'm super excited to learn about the PL-900. I know you were instrumental in my own passing of that certification, so I'm really excited to get to share that with everybody. So it'll be awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Greg. I'm really excited to get started here with everyone and welcome everybody here to this session here. We're going to cover the PL-900 exam. And the goal of our session is really to give you an overview of what is covered within this examination and certification from Microsoft, so that you can go ahead and take a little bit more of a deep dive into the different aspects when we really understand, what are we covering here. So to start us off, what I wanted to do is a little bit of introduction. We'll talk about just the general PL-900 exam, some of the basic foundations, and then we're going to jump into all of the different technologies covered within that exam. So I have my screen shared here that I'm going to go and do a little bit of that. So let's start off with a little bit of intro here. Again, my name is Jonathon Silva, a trainer here at Pragmatic Works, of course. And as a member of our Power Platform team, what I specialize in is really covering all these different technologies, but also how they integrate together. So what I try to do is utilize my teaching background. I used to be a high school teacher for a decade, and to make it easy to really understand not just each individual topic or application we look with, but also how they work together. So as an organization or an individual, you can go to one location to really do a lot of different things. And as you can see there, I've gone through a lot of these exams myself. I built our PL-900 exam review course on our platform. So if you have any questions with that, definitely come to us. We are your exam prep help. So what are we covering in this exam? So some of the skills measured within the PL-900. First one we start off here was describing the business value of the Microsoft Power Platform. Really what that's covering is, why should we use the Power Platform? And as you can see there, that's a good amount of the exam. So we'll take a little bit of a dive into integration, all that good stuff within the Power Platform. We also want to learn how to identify the different foundational components of the platform. That's really like, what would you do where? What are the different things? What app are you doing, or what connection would you try to work with within that section? And then we get more into the specific pieces of the different technologies. So we look at the capabilities of Power BI, the capabilities of Power Apps, the capabilities of Power Automate, and then even Power Pages. And then the last part, we actually have a newer update or a fresher update to that exam where they actually combine Copilot Studio, Power Virtual Agent, as well as AI Builder together. So what that's going to provide us is the ability to go ahead and make sure that we understand how all the AI technology works with one another from that point. So as we go through, what we're really going to make sure is we just touch on all those different topics to make it much easier to really take a deeper dive later on, right? Now, the exam breakdown for the PL-900, very similar to our other exams. If you take a look at Angelica's amazing talk earlier today, you could see a little bit more of what to expect on the day of actually taking the exam. But for the PL-900, it's very similar to the others, except this one, we have about 120 minutes, we have 120 minutes to complete the exam, between 40 and 60 questions that are going to be provided to us. And each question has, some have varying actual point values with them. And a passing score for this exam is a 700 on a scale of 1 to 1,000, which is essentially you're getting like a C, right? That's going to be our passing score for this exam. So if you just know a little bit of the foundational parts of the big picture, you're really going to do well on this exam, because it's meant to provide us the solid starting point for everything else. Now, what does the PL-900 really cover? It's really covering the Power Platform from Microsoft. Now, this is the Power Platform. It is this collection of 5 standalone applications all working together so that us as business users can go to one place to do everything we may need. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on each individual piece here today after we talk about the foundational part. And the foundational part of really the Power Platform, and of course the PL-900 exam, is understanding Microsoft Dataverse as our backbone of this platform, because what it provides us is this Azure SQL database that lives in the cloud specifically for these 5 different applications. It is this database, a data store location, so that we can build and keep all of the objects, the apps, the flows, the bots, the stuff, for lack of a better term, all in one central location to be able to work on and to build off of. So it's really this great place to be able to do a lot of that work. And it's definitely a big part of the PL-900. Now, the things to note, the touch base on here for the PL-900 and understanding Dataverse is the general structure and benefits of using this common data model, which provides us the basic definition, the schema of tables, columns, relationships, all working together so that we can store our data, build out this data model, and make things off of that data model, whether it's a Power BI report, an app, Canvas app, model-driven app, working with Power Automate, even connecting to that data in Power Pages or referencing in Copilot Studio, all in one central location. And one of the great benefits of using the common data model that is Dataverse is it's simple. It makes it easy because we have some pre-built tables available to us, these standard tables like an account table or a contact table available to us that we can then add onto if we want. So we can add in custom tables as well with there as we need. Now, from that, you're just getting the built-in piece of Dataverse, but we also get the ability to scale out from there as well. So some of the great things about Dataverse is that scalability, because we can actually come in and build out these large data sets and really these complex data models as we get more and more data. That's because with Dataverse, each instance of this database that lives in an environment, which we'll talk about here in a second, we get a lot of storage, 4 terabytes per instance of Dataverse. So that means we have a lot of ability to go ahead and build out and store in each different environment that we have, which makes it really, really great to work with. Now, if you think about large scale enterprise or company-wide, we also have varying amount of data based upon the number of licenses that we have and any of the add-ons that we want to add with that. So you can go big or small depending upon how big or small your company is as well. And one of the great things is everybody is essentially sharing all that too. So if you have, 40, 50 people at an organization, we're all sharing all the capacity with that. And of course, as I mentioned, you can add in incremental storage on top of that as you go ahead and add more users, or you need to have more capabilities that go with it. Now, within our Dataverse database and the environments that we have, one of the nice things that are included with that is we have our data loss prevention policies, which allow us to essentially give our employees, our users, guardrails to safeguard against all those dangers that we know are out there within the data. So we have the ability to define the data loss prevention policies at the environment level or the tenant level, which means we can really create a nice balance between what we're allowing users to do and what we're not allowing them to do, which means we can actually disable certain connectors. We can say, all of our users are going to have free flow access into all the standard connectors, all of our business connectors, but anything that's non-business data or others that we're going to go ahead and either block, or we're going to set up a DLP policy on so that they need to ask for or request access into certain things. And we're just saying, no way, we're not using that as an organization. We're going to stick to this specific world so we can ensure everything we're working in is protected every single time. And that's all inside of every single instance of Dataverse, every single environment that we work with. Now, speaking of environments that we're working with, the way environments work inside of Microsoft Dataverse and the Power Platform is essentially like its very own file cabinet system. And if you've ever taken a live class with me, I use this analogy every single time because me as a visual person, this makes total sense. Every drawer in that file cabinet is a different environment where we can store a collection of different objects in. Every drawer gets its own Dataverse database. So every drawer gets 4 terabytes worth of storage. Now, what we could do is we could separate our environment structure inside of the organization or the tenant to be able to have a development area to build, to make, to kind of go through and start from scratch. Then if we feel good about that, we can move our objects, move our applications, move our, again, stuff, for a lack of a better term there, into another environment like our tester, QA, or UAT environment, where we can test it against other users for a certain amount of time, whatever it is. If we need to make changes, we go back to dev, we go back to test, right? We go back and forth until we're ready to move into full production. And that's where the rest of the organization is using whatever we're building, the apps, the flows, the bots, the data that we're building in for whatever we need, or the whole organization is doing that. So we can move individual objects, items, apps, things at a time from one environment to another. Or we could set up a better strategy by using something called a solution, which is essentially still keeping in mind that file cabinet system, essentially setting up a folder. So just like we all have those little folders we drop in the drawers, we can create a solution to act as that folder to move projects, all together as one. So then you also have tracking between them. You can have publishers to know like who built it, where did it start. I can tag everything together with a little bit of like a prefix stamp there as well. So it's much, much better and easier to manage and store all the components together and track them through the application lifecycle management process. It's definitely the best way forward, and something that as someone looking and preparing for that PL-900, you're going to need to know more about, because that's what we're encouraged to use each and every single time. Now, within all of our environments and even in our solutions, the way that we work with data, not just Dataverse data, but external data, is by using data connectors. Within the Power Platform, we have over 1,000 different data source connectors available to us to be able to connect into data at its source level. So what we could do is we can use these connectors to share data back and forth via this API connection that we have, so that we can access the data, pass data from within the app or the bots or the flow, whatever we have, and then go utilize it, and back and forth however necessary. These data connectors are broken down to 3 different types. We have our standard connectors, which are generally your Office or Microsoft 365 connectors, plus a few extras. We have premium connectors, which require a premium license, your Power Apps premium license or your Power Automate premium license. So it's a per user, per month license that allows you to get into some premium connectors like SQL Server, like Dataverse, like others in that case. So we can use those different types of connections. And then we also have, with that, custom connectors that you can build either using a Postman collection or directly inside of the Power Platform to create that open API connection or even that closed API connection, so you can get into that data, utilize what's there, and have that connection ready for you with whatever app or flow you're trying to build within the Power Platform. So we have Dataverse as our massive storage capability and big connection there, but we also have the ability to bring in external data into everything we need within the Power Platform as well, which again, the whole point is to be able to do everything you need in one central area. And speaking of that, because we're in one central area, we can connect all of these different applications together, which is definitely the point of the Power Platform, that we can go ahead and incorporate Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI, Copilot, and Pages all in one kind of project or one goal that we may have for our business. And we have a lot of real world scenarios that use all of these, like a retail company that might use, say, a Power App to work with different store locations and work with inventory and performance of our locations. And we can allow those front end users to go ahead and say, all right, we're missing this, or we need to add in more of these, or we have a surplus of these items, and they can store that directly in the app that goes straight into our Dataverse table. We can use Power Automate to help us with any type of approvals or requests that are needed to be signed off by a supervisor or anyone else, so that we can make sure that we're not just ordering things on the fly without ensuring that's exactly what we need at that time. And then Power BI comes in to view all the analytics. Are we having the right inventory? Are we making the right decisions and based upon that? Or are we doing the right type of sales across all of our different stores or regions? We can look at competitiveness and location from either our app or our CRM or whatever it might be. And we can have all that pushed into Dataverse as the central location to ensure that your builder, your user just has one spot to go to, right? Again, that's the point of the Power Platform, to make it as easy as possible to do everything in one location. And not only do we have that, but we also, because we're talking about Microsoft and 365 here, we have the Power Platform and Teams. So we can integrate Microsoft Teams with Power BI and be able to embed Power BI reports inside of a team, and we can build inside of Teams. We can work with Power Apps for Teams and build out a Canvas app inside of Teams, working with Dataverse for Teams. We can include Power Automate, again, inside of that Teams environment, and you're just using the Workflows app inside of Microsoft Teams to go ahead and do something all in that one central area. And of course, Copilot Studio as well, so we can create our bots that live inside of a team in a channel where we can go ahead and ask questions about our data, and it's all in one spot. It's really, really great because, again, Dataverse is supporting everything we're doing here within the Power Platform. We get a Dataverse instance for each one of our different teams we build so that we can all have it stored here, just like we were to go to Dataverse from, say, Power Apps or something. Now, keeping going with that, because again, we're looking at one place to do everything, we also have the Power Platform and Dynamics 365, where we are essentially having our ERP and customer engagement applications all built off our Dataverse data and model-driven app look to be able to do everything we do outside of Dynamics, but also with Dynamics as well. So if you're incorporating Dynamics 365 as your CRM, your ERP, wherever you're looking at, you can incorporate all these extra features as well. So Power BI visuals directly inside of your apps there. Power Automate business process flows to help us go through the stages of correctly entering data. Bots within the app, and of course, Power Pages to connect to Dataverse so that we can have our customers, our vendors also log in and interact with the data that we are collecting there as well. So it's a great way for us to do all of that, which then leads us into, all right, there's our overview of Dataverse. There's kind of the main big picture of things we need to know. What about these individual applications? So let's just jump in and take a look at them, starting with Power BI. So what I'll do is I'm going to get rid of our slides here and get right into Power BI and all the other things we have. But actually, before we go to Power BI, let's take a look at the Power Platform Admin Center. The Power Platform Admin Center is a place where we could do a lot of different work on and be able to learn more about our environment structure. We build environments, we set up security within the environments, our data loss prevention policies, our analytics, to be able to give us the ability to really control everything within our Dataverse database for each and every single environment. To get to the Admin Center, there's a lot of ways to do so. You could get to the Admin Center by going to admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. But also, if you were to go, say, into Power BI, or if you're going to Power Apps, or you can, we could hit there, go to the home pages of these other ones that we have, you can see there, I'm going to get to one of them here. I can get, you know what, let me create a new one here and go to Power Apps real quick here. You see how quick it is to get to there. We have Power Platform Admin Center. Right, that's the easiest way to get in. You can see, of course, within all of the Power Platform, we have one location to connect to every other application there. And when you get to the Power Platform Admin Center, you could choose an environment. Like I chose my live events like this one here. I can see if I have any security roles. I can go here, look at the security roles here for this environment. Any of the users I also have in this environment. Any type of other settings I want to apply within the environment, I can do all of that here, all in one location. So this is a great spot to have all of your security, your analytics within the different applications here, your billing, all this stuff here. If you want to do any type of data loss prevention policy, all that's going to be done right here inside of the Admin Center. Okay, then once you have that organized, ready to go, you can get into all the other different parts. So let's talk here about, we'll just skip our Power BI as it signs me back in there. Let's talk about Power Apps to begin with then. So Power Apps within the Power Platform is actually broken down into two different types of applications. We have a Canvas app and a model-driven app. The big difference between the two is that a Canvas app is more of your custom application, I like to call it the front of office type of app, your front-facing application where you have users that can open up this app on their phone. They can do it on a tablet. They can do it on their PC. And they can access the application from all these different locations and be able to enter data directly within the data source. Power Apps Canvas app allow us to use a collection of all of the different data sources available within the Power Platform. So we can connect into here, we can connect into a SQL server, we can connect into Excel or SharePoint list or Dataverse data just by adding data from here. You can see all the different connections available to us to work within Canvas app. And this is what a Canvas app looks like. The major parts of what a Canvas app provides us are things like a gallery. A gallery here inside of a Canvas app is a way to view different records on a data source. So you get to go ahead and view them, you can filter them down, you can sort them, you can edit how it looks, the feel, all the good stuff that you want to have for this nice user-friendly application you build. What we also get within our application as I come on over is we also get this thing called, let me click away here. You know what? I'm just going to preview go this way. We get something called a form. Now, here is a form that we have that we can connect directly into a table to add records, to edit records directly at the data source level. So you don't have an intermediate Microsoft form that's writing to an Excel file that I need to move it somewhere else. You're going straight to the SQL Server table, straight to the Dataverse table or the Excel file or the SharePoint list. And you can write and read directly on that. And you can have a lot of really great customization inside of our app where you're working with expressions and variables and different things to work with here so that different things occur. And I can navigate. I can see all these different things in here. Like I can do a search here and I can go ahead and search by patient name. And there we have data about a patient. And I can see all that here just on this app. Of course, you can see this is from our Power Apps Bootcamp where we actually build this app and the full functionality of all the cool stuff inside of it. So Canvas apps are really great for the front of office type of user so that you could see the type of application that we want to have like on the go. The other type of Power App that we have is something called a model-driven app. A model-driven app, unlike a Canvas app, is only using Dataverse data as the data source. Because a model-driven app is not about the look, the feel, the color, the layout. You can see this is a little bit different. It's a standardized UI because it's based on the data model. It's data model focused. So the tables, the columns that are existing inside of the data model within Dataverse. The model-driven app has a lot of really great built out-of-the-box capabilities for us where we can see different tables. Here I have a company table, which is my account table, automatically comes with Dataverse. I have a contract table that I built custom here and all these different custom columns that I added to here. And if I want to add a new record here, it's as simple as clicking new. And inside of your model-driven app, I can even include something like a business rule in here. So if I add in a company, notice what happens when I pick a company. I'll just pick something. Oh, I get a contract stage automatically appear. If I get rid of the company, that goes away. So I can add in a business rule to say, oh, if you do this, show this other thing. So it gives you a lot of cool features to have that displayed. And it's not just model driven. You can do it in a lot of different things. Canvas app can have different rules and conditionals like that as well. But this always has it's just a standard UI. And all I need to do is pick something. I can come in here, put some numbers in here. I can choose a stage. It's a lead. I could say, pick a date. There's today's date. I could do a percentage of 75%. Everything else is locked in, right? I have read-only pieces. If I save and close, I now have automatic things done as well. So I have some calculated columns in here too. And you can see all of this is just set up so I can just view, read, work with the data. This is more of our back of office type of app. Canvas app is for the front end workers. Model-driven app is more for the back office. I just want to work with the data model. So different options for different people, different roles, different scenarios, and different functionality from there. So it does give us a lot of good ideas and things that we can build off from there. So the next thing here is, let me go ahead and sign back in here and see what happens with Power BI. I want to focus on there. Oh, it's going to ask me to do all these things here. Let's see if it goes in. While that loads, oh, there it is. We can see Power BI here. So Power BI is an amazing data visualization, data modeling tool that we have here within the Power Platform. And we've already talked a lot about Power BI here today. Check out Angelica's PL-900 course that covers solely Power BI. So I just want to do a quick little touch on this. But within the PL-900 context, Power BI, you're really going to need to know a little bit about the different visuals and different options specifically up in the Power BI service. So here at Power BI app.powerbi.com is the Power BI service. And the key factors to take away for the PL-900 is a lot of like, what thing are we using in the service? So are we using a report, which is a single page here or collection of pages that we developed from the Power BI desktop application? What on our Power BI report are we doing? Are we looking for alerts? Are we looking at subscriptions? Do we want to use any of the insights that are available here within our Power BI report? So our KPI analysis or our trends or our anomaly detector for like outliers. What are the AI things that are kind of built in here that we are going to be utilizing? So that's all going to be on the report layer. We also need to know on what's a dashboard. So if I go to my workspace here, which is my personal location to do things, right? I have a dashboard here that I can go to, like here's my alert, and I can come to, oh, let's see, that one's not loading. Let me just choose a different one real quick. There's another one. just waiting for it to load here. It's spinning up. It's taking its sweet time, of course. And let's do one more here. Let's hope that this one spins up. Just the spinning. We're just waiting. Good old internet here. Okay. But these dashboards allow us to have a collection of different Power BI report visuals that we can pin there in one location. For the PL-900, what you're going to need to know is the difference between a report that's generated from the desktop app and a dashboard where you're collecting different pieces from different reports in one place. Looks like they're all still loading there. Okay, but that's the big part here with Power BI is really the service to focus on that you want to make sure you're really touching on there. And of course, that PL-300 exam is going to go even deeper than what the PL-900 does for Power BI. Now, while that loads, we'll try to come back to that later on. The next topic is Power Automate. So we've talked about Power Apps of entering data, right? That's a great application source to enter data at the data source level. Power BI is to visualize the data, to learn from the data, to analyze the data. Power Automate is to move it, is to do things with it. So here within Power Automate, I have a workflow that I built that allows me to automatically do all of these things when I get a new email. So if I get a new email that arrives, what happens is the email that arrives, I will be able to then say for each email attachment, I'm going to extract information from that email attachment. And then when that email attachment comes in, I'll be able to utilize the data from that using something called AI Builder to then take that data and start an approval process. The approval process here will then say, okay, based upon the data that I'm passing from my AI model, does my user, maybe my manager, my supervisor approve of that thing that's coming in, that request, whatever they're looking to approve there. If they approve it, I said, all right, go ahead for each response there, go ahead and send an email notification letting them know their request is approved. If it's not been approved in our condition here, go ahead and let them know, you know what, your request was denied. And one of the great things about Power Automate is, yes, this is a major part of what we do with Power Automate, but we could do a lot more. Approvals is probably the number one reason why those of us come to Power Automate, to be able to set up an automated process. When one thing occurs, do all these other things, X, Y, Z down the road. It's really, really great because it provides us the ability to essentially be more productive with our time. And of course, that's what we all crave, right? That's what we need out of our job, is to let these other things go and focus on what actually brings that human value to the job. Utilizing Power Automate is the key for us here within the Power Platform. So we have all of these different steps that you can see here in these blocks are connectors, are actions within Power Automate. And then we can also designate how the flow starts as well. So right here, when a new email arrives, this is an automated cloud flow. Automatically do all these things when I get a new email. We could also set this run on a schedule. Go ahead and check my Dataverse table every Monday morning at 9 a.m. And based upon that check, go find a choice column. And I want everything that's been approved from the past week. And then send an email based on that, or send a notification, or move data. Or when I click a button in a Canvas app, I want to do this. All that can be done here with Power Automate with the 3 different types of triggers as well. So there's a lot to be able to look forward to within Power Automate to kind of set you up to be more successful, more productive, including, as mentioned, the use of some AI. So part of the PL-900 is also using something called AI Builder and understanding how AI Builder works. Specifically, AI Builder is especially with the Power Platform, is Power Apps, Power Automate. Okay, that's the big use cases that you're going to find there with AI Builder, where you can build out these custom models or pre-built models to accomplish tasks for you. The one that I have here will automatically scan an attachment, and based upon the attachment I pass in, I'm asking it to look for specific values. The values I'm asking it to look for are names of whoever is making the request, where they're, the data storage in this case, or the completion date, or different costs of different things. And these 4 fields here are the response from my extract information. So you get to be able to pass in things that are automatically taken and then use that data down further in the flow with something called dynamic content. That's what these things are. So it's a really, really cool feature to make sure everything you need just works automatically for us. And check out our YouTube channel with all these different types of applications. You could go even deep dive into all these different ones as well from there. So that's 3 so far. Let's get into the next one, the next big thing, and that is Power Pages. So within Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, those are really for in-house. Those are for people that are at our organization, at our company, working with our data for us. Power Pages, a little bit different, is that's going to turn everything around, and that's going to be externally facing, where we are creating a custom website here with Power Pages to go ahead and let external users log in. Maybe it's an external vendor, or maybe it's, if it's for a K-12 school system or a university, students and parents and others to log in to see upcoming events, to do their financial aid application, to order a t-shirt or whatever it might be. Power Pages is great to handle that because it uses Dataverse data to store everything there and to be able to work with that. So within our pages here, you can see we can do different styling options, and I can just customize styling from here, colors and headings and all these other things. And just by the click of a button, I could choose, you know what, I want that style, or I want this style. The layout we can change as well. We can go into data and we can go ahead and choose, okay, what data tables, what points are we going to be using? And I have our different Dataverse tables here, our account table, or our contract table, the same one I actually am showing over here. Notice it's the same data I'm showing in here. So we have 2 ways to interact with that data. One's external, one's internal, right? Again, Power Platform and Dataverse, we have one place to kind of do different things and manipulate the data as we need. So we have the ability to work with data, different setup, different security features you can see in here. And what we're able to really do is set up these pages so that we can interact with the data different ways. So I have my account view, my list of accounts here. I have a form to add in for a new contract or whatever it might be, very similar to my form here, or I'm adding new. So I'm just going to my model-driven app. You'll see it's the same columns, except these columns are a little bit different looking, but it's also external facing. It's the same kind of organization that we have, but again, you're flipping that around so external users can use it, also internal users. So you can have individuals log in, and then you can go ahead and work with the data from there. And all they have to do is log in when they go ahead and utilize that page. So it's a really cool place to do that. Azure Active Directory supported, your Entra ID supported. There's a lot of really great security features as well, and roles and permissions you can add in. So if I log in, I see something different than when you log in based upon that role. Power Pages is perfect for that, all based on our Dataverse data. And then finally, the last big app that we want to cover here today is Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is probably one of the more popular ones, at least in my experience in the last couple months, where we're getting a lot of requests from organizations, universities, school districts around the US and in Canada as well, on how do we incorporate all this great Copilot stuff into our current system. What can we do to help us be more productive and to do things within our Copilot experience? So you can create your very own bots here. You'll see I have a couple different bots here that you can pass in knowledge. So our knowledge can either be web pages, SharePoint sites, or other things where you can add in knowledge here. I can come in, you can see all these different things I want to pass in here. Dataverse tables. You can see Fabric is coming soon. You have SharePoint, OneDrive, where you're just passing in these different pieces, and it will go ahead and search through that data source connector, that knowledge base, to be able to do things. We can utilize actions in here. We configure an action. You can see we have Power Automate workflows. You can see I have a couple workflows here, get items from an Excel list or do others. You can also use Power Automate and Power Apps and Dataverse connectors here. So you're doing different things as well, all built into the bot that you have. So it's a really great experience that we can also incorporate some generative AI responses. You can even see here, hey, I use AI to answer some questions. So let's go ahead. We can kind of like ask questions in real life questions in natural language here to then get full responses for us. So let me see if I have a prompt here. Let's go. If I use this one, we're going to say list records. Okay, that's the question I'm going to say. That's what I want to see. Okay, let's say, oh, which SharePoint list would you like to get information from? Well, I have a SharePoint site with a bunch of different lists on it. I passed in these specific ones that when I built this bot, you know what? I want to learn about my accounts. Okay, and so now it's going to the SharePoint list, and it should return some of the accounts I have on that SharePoint list. And then, so here's the name, the industry, the primary contact if I had one, and they'd be all built in there. So you can see it's all returning from SharePoint itself. I can set it up, a follow-up question. Would you like to look at another list? No, that's okay. I'm good for today. Did that answer a question? Yep, that works great. Give me your response. I'll give it a 2 for today, or maybe a 3 for today. Thanks for your feedback. Right? And you can see where all of these conversations are going when you're testing. And then when I'm ready to go, I can publish this and put this on an external site. I could put this on my team site. I could have this on my company website. We can have this inside of Dataverse. There's a lot of places we can point this to, so we can utilize that from there as well. So it's really, really great to be able to work with that one. Let's see another one. I have another one here, University Student Assistant, where you can come here and you can pass in some websites. I have 4 different websites here. And I can ask a question of, let's see if I ask a question here. Oh, let me get rid of that pop-up. What are the library hours today? And if I ask the question into the bot, it's going to go to these sites that I'm training and say, oh, here we go. Let's see. Maybe, this one didn't like it. Or maybe I'll ask, what is the address? Right? It even tell you sometimes we're not sure, like here's some more up-to-date information. Maybe go there to find it. It gives you the website that it potentially found us. Oh, there we go. This is at Johns Hopkins University. There's the address of the library. If I want to go contact them and go, I can click directly on this link. And it shows me where it grabbed the information from. So you can put all these together to have different bots or one bot to do a lot of different things for your users to make your life a lot easier from there. Again, and this is all built within the same environments. Notice every single place I've gone here, I've gone to Jonathon Silva's environment. That's my storage. That's my drawer. For everything I have here, they're all in the same location in one place to build, to save all of these different technologies that are all together as one big project if I wanted to incorporate them there. So it does give me a lot of ways to play with things and to ensure that everything we want to do is all working together for one specific place. So there's our brief overview of the different types of applications we have with the PL-900. I'm barely scratching the surface there of what the different things are, the capabilities, and what you might experience in the exam. But let's actually make it a lot easier. Let's actually see what some of those questions might feel like, and head on over to CertXP and actually see, let me refresh this, and actually see what some of those questions are here at CertXP within our PL-900 exam here. So I have a couple different questions. As you can see, I've gone through all of them here, and I've passed the exam. I could click on here and take it again if I want, or I can go into maybe a section that I didn't do just so well on. Maybe if I click on one here, like this one here, level 5-1. I've done okay, but I didn't show excellence. I've passed it. So maybe I want to review that one more time. So let's come in here. Let me do a quick review of some of the questions here that I have for myself. So I'm going to go ahead and play this.
Plan on using Power Automate to capture sentiment from your customers on social media. You want to store that feedback in a Dataverse database for the product development and marketing teams to review. What type of component would you use to retrieve the top 5 posts from Facebook that mention your product?
So there's my question. We have that read aloud for me. I'm thinking if I want to retrieve data from somewhere, right? Especially, again, I'm focused on Power Automate here. I need to go and connect to that data. So that means I probably need to use an action to go get that data, get the items from SharePoint, list the rows in SQL, or list rows in Dataverse, or list rows present in Excel table. Let's see if that's correct. And yeah, it is correct. And of course, what the great part about CertXP here is we get our explanation, and we also have our quick coach here. So we have Brian explaining here.
Power Automate's job is to create workflows in a low-code manner in the Power Platform. It can be triggered by triggers, and then has actions after that. So a trigger might be something like whenever a row is added, and the action could be send an email or process the invoice or something.
So the action connects to the data using an API connection in the cloud so that we can do something with that data. So we got one right. Let's keep going. Let's see a couple more of these questions here based on Power Automate specifically for this PL-900. Let's see the next one. I'll go ahead and play this one as well.
You plan on using Power Automate to capture sentiment from your customers. On social media, you want to store that feedback in a Dataverse database for the product development and marketing teams to review. What type of component would you use to schedule the flow to run nightly?
Okay, so we want to store the data, but it's asking what type of component would we use to schedule the flow to run nightly. Well, that schedule is actually, I think it's actually, I know what it is. It's one of the 3 different types of a flow. Scheduled cloud flow, we have an automated cloud flow, and we have an instant cloud flow, or that manual trigger that we have. So a schedule is one of our 3 triggers, I think. Yeah, there we are. So again, here's Brian once more.
Power Automate's job is to create
again about Power Automate, the triggers, the different things, and of course the explanation here to help us with that. So let's keep going here. We have 3 more questions, I think, or 2 more questions to be able to work with after this one. So let's keep going here with
your company is using Power Automate across the organization. The flow you have been tasked to build must provide a set of users a visual guide through a set of tasks. What type of flow should you use?
So the Power Automate across the organization, we want to have a visual cue or a guide to help users complete a set of tasks. Well, Power Automate actually has different versions. We have Power Automate Cloud, we have Power Automate Desktop, but we also have something that's part of a model-driven app. And when we work with our other instances as well, is we have something called a business process flow. And a business process flow is great to help us stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 of that process that we can see in the product app or dynamics. Let me go ahead and submit that answer. There we are. We got that. And of course, Brian's here.
There are numerous types of flows that you can create in Power Automate. The most common one is an automated flow. This has a trigger.
So we can see going through here, we have different types of flows, but business process flows are really, really great to help us kind of go stage, and get to the next result there. All right, we have 2 left. Let's see what happens if we get one wrong. Let's see what that looks like. So
you are creating a Power Automate to send an email to an accounting once an employee logs an expense report. Users are prematurely finishing expense reports without uploading their receipts. You would like the manager to review the record prior to the email being sent to account to validate the data. You add a manager approval flag into the database. What component should be modified in your flow?
Interesting. I think it's a condition, but what if it's an expression? Maybe it's an if expression on something and say, I'm kind of going back and forth. I think condition's right, but I'm going to guess that maybe it's expression this time. Again, I think we're going to get this one wrong. Let's see. You know what? It really was a condition. Oh, crap. We have our explanation here of why a condition is actually correct instead of an expression, where a condition control gives us that true or false after the approval. Every approval should have a condition. So that's why that would be correct here. But you can see here, you know what? We didn't quite get that one. Let's see if it asks us to come back to it later on as our next review. Our last one here, as we go through these.
You plan on using Power Automate to capture sentiment from your customers on social media. You want to store that feedback in a Dataverse database for the product development and marketing teams to review. What type of component would you use to store those records into a Dataverse?
So we're going to send or store records into Dataverse. I'm thinking it's an action here. Trigger starts us off. Expression, we can do different types of, add this together. We can get a random number. We can do work with different items in formatting or conditionals. Service, that's more of like a connection. I'm going to go with action here. Let's go for it. There we go. An action is correct. So if I continue, I think, let's see. We're actually going 10 questions here, so let's keep going. I think we have enough time for a few more here. And then at the end, we'll have our review as well.
The company is using Power Automate across the organization. The flow you have been tasked to build must be run each weekend to perform data cleanup. What type of flow should you use?
So different triggers in this case. If we're talking about to run each weekend, right, that's a schedule, right? That's a recurring schedule that we have. There's our schedule. I'm thinking that's correct. Yeah, there we are. And of course, here we have Brian once more.
Inside of Dynamics 365 or any model-driven application, Power Automate can add extra value with what you're seeing on top of me right now. These business process flows
there we go.
are a
So business process flow is shown in this one, but the answer, of course, is a schedule for us. So we can make sure we're having that flow run whenever we need. So let's keep going to the next one.
Your company is using Power Automate across the organization. The flow you have been tasked to build must trigger after a row is written into a database. What type of flow should you use?
All right, so we talked about schedule. That's a recurrence, right? It's recurring at a set and cadence that we're working with. Instant is, again, a manual trigger. Business process flow are stages. They're automated is the last one. It's the most widely used, so that's the one we have there. Really good to get that one right. Let's keep going. I think we're almost there.
You plan on using Power Automate to capture sentiment from your customers on social media. You want to store that feedback in a Dataverse database for the product development and marketing teams to review. What type of component would you use to combine the author's info with a link to their post into a single field?
So we're going to put it into a single field, but I think the key word here is combine. Again, this is part of the test-taking experiences. What is the key word? What are they truly asking in this question? I'm thinking the key word is combine. So I'm thinking an expression will help us combine that one. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's probably a concat expression that we're going to use in that case to be able to combine those fields. All right,
You are trying to
there.
integrate Power Automate into an application you've built in Power Apps. When a user clicks a button, you want the flow to run. What type of trigger should you use in the flow?
Clicks a button, that's push a button, that's a manual click of a button. So that's a manual trigger I'm going to go with. Oh no. So it's looking at Power Apps here. Let's see. In this case, Power Apps, I believe manual trigger was correct there. I believe Power Apps is our other option. So we get that one wrong. That's okay. We can always go back and review that later on as we go through. And that's kind of the great part about this. We could always review all the questions we missed, we get wrong there. And then the last one here, I'll read this one. Your company's using Power Automate across the organization. The flow you've been tasked to build must be triggered manually when a user clicks a button in a Power App. What type of flow? In this case, it should be an instant flow. There we are. It's a very similar question that we just had there. So that gets us, and we're now back in our redemption. So in this case, for this redemption, as we already saw, which is one of the great features of CertXP's, try again. Let's see if we can get this one right this time, or this one correct. We want to have this approval flag component to be modified. I remember we talked about either condition or expression. We chose expression last time, so I think condition is correct. There we go. And the last one, you're trying to integrate Power Automate into an app with Power Apps. Click a button in an app. Yeah, manually trigger the flow. Technically, that's built with the Power Apps V2 trigger. So let's use that one here. That must be the correct answer. There we are. And now we have finished this stage here. You can see the percentage correct. Okay, how long it took us to take it. We can then review all the questions in here with our recap of the question correct or incorrect. And it does give us just a great way to have this study guide. If I need to go back to any section that I missed or I want to try again, I can now go in here and see, all right, I did really well on all these, that I have excellent rating. Let me go find one that I didn't do so excellent in and review that once more before I go ahead and take that final exam and then go ahead and take my PL-900. So there's some quick guides here with getting ready for the PL-900 and things to know about, to focus on when taking that exam. Of course, working with CertXP is definitely the way to go. It's going to make your life so much easier. So you're not just walking into the exam without actually thinking about how to think about questions and connections between keywords and answers in those questions, so that when you get to that exam from Microsoft, you are all ready to go. Well, that's what I have here for you, my time here today. So thank you so very much. There's Greg. Welcome on back in here, Greg. How you doing?
Hey. Well, appreciate you giving a great tour of what the PL-900 has to offer, including CertXP. I mean, I remember when you were still working on this, and I needed so much help to get ready on all those tools, being just really in Power BI, trying to learn everything else. You made it a great breeze for me personally. So, hey, that's my kudos to you. I know we got another drawing here set up. I've seen some great engagement in the chat. So what do you say we give up some freebies?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. Who's it going to be?
Come on. Go. Oh, Lord again.
Lauren.
Lord's like, I'll take another one. Let's see.
Hey,
Nice.
JB.
AB Groves, nice. Congratulations.
Lots of engagement in the chat, so glad you got to win there. We got some great stuff coming up here with Copilot, our dev dashes, so much coming up here. I'm so looking forward to it. Jonathan, thanks again, and we'll see everybody in the next upcoming session.